A lovely morning to my lovely audience. A special welcome to our Honorable Chief Patron, President Microbiology Society India, Professor Arvind Deshmukh sir, our National Coordinator, Dr. Sanjeev Patnakar, and yes, our star for today's lecture, Dr. Kalpana Agnihotri. I am Dr. Nitika Thakur, working as Assistant Professor in the Department of Biotechnology, Shulani University. On behalf of Microbiologist Society India, extends a warm welcome to our lovely guest speaker, Dr. Kalpana Agnihotri, for this Sunday's Talkies series of Indians talking from abroad. Before we move to our lecture, our guest lecture basically, I would like to request President MBSI, Arvind Deshmukh sir, to kindly enlighten us with the mission and vision of MBSI. So over to you.
Hello, Nikita ma'am.
Yes, sir.
I'm in one function. So
Okay,
I will
sir.
talk only 2 sentences.
Sure, sir. Sure, sir.
That
Sir, you are muted.
second thing, Kalpana ma'am is really one of the talent lady from India now in Australia. I'm sure she will guide young generation of India. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. So now we'll be heading towards our guest lecture series, and Dr. Kalpana Agnihotri is working as a senior principal scientist and scientist manager in Biosecurity, Queensland, Department of Agriculture and Fisheries, Queensland, Australia. She has completed her doctoral degree in health sciences from National AIDS Research Institute, Pune. She has her master's from Government Institute of Sciences, Aurangabad, India, and her Bachelor's of Sciences in Microbiology from B.R. Barbali College, India. Over 22 years of her experience in diagnostic and research laboratories with varied disciplines across human health, plant and animal virology, serology, and molecular biology. She holds an experience working with internal and external stakeholders, interprofessional colleagues to maintain high service standards. In addition, she is a current member of Laboratories for Emergency Animal Disease Diagnosis and Response and Technical Assessor for NATA. Furthermore, she adds to her name many high-impact publications, conferences, and also acts as a reviewer and member of prestigious editorial boards for various peer-reviewed international journals. Today, she'll be taking us to an interesting journey of microbiology and addressing a hip-hop journey of microbiology. Over to you, ma'am, for your 25 years of microbiology journey. Over to you, Kalpana, ma'am. You can just share your PPT.
Yeah, thanks, Nitika. Morning, everyone. I just thought, let me know when you see the screen. And yes, I can start. Yeah, all good. All right. Morning, everyone. And I'm really glad and honored to be part of this presentation series. And more than a lecture, I think I just would like to share some of my experiences, what I have seen and experienced in the last 25 years. So I thought probably that would be something for the new generation and the young kids and young talents in India. And if they're particularly looking for opportunities elsewhere in India and outside India. So some of my experiences, I'm sure probably will help those students moving forward. So when I say 25 years of microbiology, it's not just microbiology that I have done. I have done microbiology definitely for majority of the time, but I have done a lot of molecular biology, biotechnology, definitely virology, because that's my subject matter expertise. I'm in virology. I've done a lot of molecular genetics. I've done management, mostly the science management. And what I meant by that is managing human resources, budgets, funds, running some project trials, and I have also done some chemistry. So literally a lot, but not really a lot when you really look at it. So one of the things that I have learned throughout my career is that there are 2 options any student could do and could go for. One is be a subject matter expertise. So you study the subject in detail, like, the structure, composition, classification, phylogeny, host interaction, immune responses, serological responses, cell culture characterizations and all those sorts of things. So you be the subject matter expertise, or the second option you could go for is be a technology expertise. And what I mean by technological expertise is there are so many new technological advances in the field of microbiology and biotechnology that are used in terms of agent identification, detection, confirmation, and treatment, including vaccine development and all of those sorts of things, molecular diagnosis, or even overall diagnosis of anything, any infectious agent is one of the major things. So you could be a technological expertise as well. So there are few options that students particularly could go for. You could be a subject matter expertise, or you could be a technology expertise. And this is what I have learned in my career as well. So when I first started doing Bachelor of Sciences in microbiology, I thought, yeah, it's going to be easy, because basically there are 5 groups of microorganisms, as you all study, probably in year 11 or 12 now these days: bacteria, fungus, like yeast, viruses, protozoa, and algae. And I thought, yeah, so all I'm going to do is I'm going to study about these 5 microorganisms, or 5 different groups of microorganisms. But as I went on, I realized, and this is like, from the very recent experiences, and during the pandemic, you all would agree with me as I say this, that when you're reading news, or when you're looking at the news channels, at some point, I thought these news reporters probably know more than I do, or I studied. So what is it that I actually do differently, or could do differently, that will make me a microbiologist or a virologist compared to what these people are doing? Because they knew exactly what coronavirus would look like, how this infects, what are the symptoms with coronavirus, what are the molecular tests, or what are the different tests that are available in market that you could go for, what different vaccines are there, and how many vaccines each one should do. So all these television channels on the news reporters, they knew exactly what I have invested all my time and energy studying this virus. And they probably knew exactly how much I knew by studying all these and reading all those publications and looking at what this coronavirus looks like. So then if it is that easy to do that, why is it so difficult? Or what makes me a microbiologist that these news reporters are not? And the answer is really simple, because when you're looking at microbiology, it's not just 5 microorganisms that we are looking at. We are looking at general microbiology, we are looking at infectious diseases, we are looking at immunology, molecular biology, and there are heaps of different subjects that you could go for. And you could be, as I said, a subject matter expertise, or you could be really a technical matter expertise, like, if you're going into nanobiotechnology or bioinstrumentation or medical instrumentation and all those sorts of things. So really, when you talk about microbiology, it's not just one subject, or it's not just about 5 different microorganisms or groups of microorganisms. Microbiology overall means all these different subjects that you could go for. So really, this is something what I have seen with, growing up really with microorganisms and within the area of microbiology, that there is, as we say, sky is the limit, but this is really what it is. In microbiology, you could be doing lots of different styles of things, and lots of different avenues are available, and it's a vast area within the area of biology. So really, what could we do? I mean, obviously there are different, things that you could do, but if there are no laboratories, all of us sitting with, studying microbiology or doing microbiology, we are literally if there are no laboratories around us, we are like soldiers without any arms, isn't it? So what should we be doing? So again, let's go back. So even if, it's a very particular thing, and if you look at the small little slide in there, even growing one of these organisms in, in a laboratory environment, you got to be very meticulous. You got to be like, clean, and you've got to be very particular, even if you want to grow something that is of interest to you and that is of interest to the society. Because a little bit of mismanagement in a way, or little bit of, if you're not careful enough, you could get contamination. And that is what you learn if you're a student of microbiology. Whether it be like, 25 years back when I started, it used to be between two Bunsen burners. We used to do our microbiological plates and cultures, and then became the biosafety cabinets and whatnot. And then we started from there. So we are still talking about those 5 groups of microorganisms, but we are talking at a very different level of doing microbiology. So basically then, if there are so many subjects involved, and if there are so many areas of interest where microbiologists could attract to, what is the industry like? Like, if I'm studying microbiology, and this is one of the questions even I remember we were discussing, like, right, we are doing microbiology, but what is it? What are the job prospects? What are the career prospects for microbiologists? So I just thought I would just highlight some of the industry partners and where people are looking for microbiologists or biotechnologists or, virologists or something like that. Basically 5 major groups of industries. One, the big one, is a health industry, which is human health, animal health, plant health, that deals with infectious and non-infectious diseases. Genetics is a different arena that's going in there. Immunology and pathology, of course, pathology is a big one for any disease diagnosis that's coming up as well. Pharmaceutical industry, for microbiology students, pharmaceutical industry is a big one, and particularly those who are in India, it's like a booming field that's coming up. But even outside India, mostly in the vaccine development and clinical trials with vaccines, pharmaceutical industries are looking for microbiologists. The other one, apart from vaccine in development, is the drug discovery and development. So there are lots of drugs that are being developed, and microbiologists are highly desired in those fields. Food technology industry is another avenue students can explore with industrial microbiology and chemistry background. Environmental industry, because everyone's talking about reducing the carbon footprint. The environmental industry is looking heavily to do waste management side of things. And as being students of microbiology, we all know the microorganisms could be used to reduce the biomass and reduce the carbon footprint. Lots of mining industries and regulation laws, they are looking for subject matter expertise to interpret the laws for the core people who are working with the industry. So the laws could be interpreted in the language, in layman's term, as you call that. And of course, the basic science research industry, that's a big one in India and outside India as well. So looking at the different industries and what industry is looking for, there is a vast majority of people opting to go into these different levels of industries as a scientist, as a technological expertise, or as an environmental law expertise as well. So there are lots of things that students with microbiology background and experience could do and could actually contribute to some of these industry lives. So this is an interesting one. I thought I should share with everyone, because if we are looking at what's the percentage of microbiologists required in any of these industry environments and what the work environment is like. So in research and development, in the physical engineering or in physical or engineering and in life sciences, this is the overall global data. This is the world data. This is not just India or Australia data. This is the world data where microbiologists are required. So in the research and development industry with life sciences, anyone with all those subjects that I shared just now is like 26% requirement for people with microbiology background. In pharmaceutical and medical manufacturing, which is like in an industry setup, it's almost like 16%. In colleges, universities, professional schools, state, local, or private environment, it's like 12%. It's mostly in the teaching environment or helping out doing research in these laboratories. In federal government, so postal services, obviously they do not know, but saying that bioterrorism is one of the major risks, as you would have seen, and microorganisms have been used and from time to time in different warfare as well. So excluding those postal services, overall in federal governments, which is like majority of like, national securities or biosecurity laws, it's like 11%. And state governments where they're running the labs or they're doing something where they're looking for expertise, where they could have people to be a representative from infectious diseases or from standpoint of having the expertise with microorganisms, providing that support to the government. In state governments, it's around 6%. So if anyone's confused, it's not just us, be assured, because like, when we are studying it, and even now, if I'm looking at it, it's like, I don't know really what it means and I'm confused. So just take this example of stem cells. So when they're little, they do not know where they're going to contribute, what they're going to do. And stem cells, as we all study, we know what all stem cells could do in our body. So we are just like that and just be happy being a small little stem cell. So right, if we are students of microbiology, how is our subject related to the industry? So what is it that industry is looking for? Like we know these are the percentages of different industries they are looking for microbiologists. What is it that the industry is looking for? So basically what industry is looking for is to have someone on board who could transform that knowledge into industry applications. So all these people, and I mentioned the example of the TV news reporters or the news reporters overall, as we would have all have experienced during the corona pandemic time, they all have got knowledge, but we microbiologists have the ability to transform that knowledge into industrial applications. And here industry, what I mean is like, whether it could be a health sector, vaccine industry, it could be a pharmaceutical industry, or it could be anything. So we are the ones with the experience and with the knowledge, and we can actually have the ability to transform that into industrial applications. So how could we do that? So there are few different things that we need to have, and I think it's really important. And why, the reason I have highlighted these three particularly is because it took me particularly a long time to figure out what is it that I could contribute to and how I could contribute to. Like, Google industry is a big one. Like anyone, you want to study about anything, you just go on Google, type it in, and you get heaps of information. So is that what it is? It's not. You have to read that information, you have to process that information, and you have to transform that information into something that's useful. And that's what we could do. So how we could contribute, I think we have to have the ability to identify the problem. A lot of the time what happens is people are not able to identify the problem. And why they are not able to identify the problem? Because that analysis of the problem is an important thing. We need to analyze what the problem is. It's like something of a problem solving skills. And obviously when we are studying, or when we are like, in a teaching environment, we need to have that ability to analyze the problem. We are not looking for answers. We are not looking for solutions. We are just trying to analyze the problem. And if we could do that, that means we have got a better understanding of what the problem is. And then we can think of few different options or few different solutions we could actually trigger into to go to the solution. One thing I have learned is never jump into conclusions. take your time, think about it, read more about it, analyze it, but never jump into the solution or into the conclusion straight away. So what are the qualities that a microbiologist should have? And I think this is something which is very important for students who are learning. And without these qualities, no matter how good we are, we won't be able to demonstrate that, or we won't be able to have the key abilities or key capabilities, I would say. So all these ones are the key capabilities of a microbiologist. So if you're doing, no matter in which industry you are into, if you do not have, or rather than saying you do not have, if we do not have good communication skills, then what are we? So there is a good saying that, let the work speak for itself. And we can have that. We can have the work speak for itself. But even to do that, we should be able to effectively communicate the research processes and the findings. So the knowledge that's required to do those sorts of research is applied correctly. We got to be detail oriented. So as I mentioned, we need to identify the problem. We need to analyze the problem. So if we are doing any, mostly into the, because I've spent most of my time into laboratory environment, this is particularly important for setting up laboratory experiments to analyze the results with more accuracy and precision. And that's why the detail orientation is required. Need to have good interpersonal skills. So because it's in any field of science, I would say, not just microbiology, but any field of science, you cannot actually work on your own. We need to have a team. And to have a good team, to work with colleagues, with supervisors, with students, so that actually creates a research team, that actually creates a good environment for who is contributing. And if you have, look at any publication, a single author publication, you would see very rare, but mostly you will see many authors on any publications. And the reason is any research outcome or any research publications, it actually takes lots of efforts from individual contributors in the team. And that's what makes a good research team. So as long as everyone's working towards a common goal, that's why we need the interpersonal skills. So we should be able to identify who has got what expertise, who has got better strengths, who has got weaknesses in some of those areas, and where that could be complemented with some strengths from other individuals in the team. And that's what makes a good research team. But this is not just for the research teams. I think it's for any work environment. We need to have good interpersonal skills. This is another one, I guess, the observational skills. So, and I'll just give examples of a research environment again, because that's where my experience comes from. Constantly be able to monitor the experiments. We need to have a backup plan. We need to have the ability noting down conditions, procedures, results, and the accurate record of the work. When I started working with HIV, I was told there were two prominent scientists who claimed to be the first ones to discover HIV. One was from France and the other one was from USA. And the credit actually went to the scientist in USA. And the reason behind that was the accuracy of the records of the work that the scientist did. And that actually explains a lot, because if you're not able to prove what you have done, you may be the first one, but how do we prove that? So the accuracy of a good record keeping and whatever you do in the lab environment, it's a very critical one. Another one is a logical thinking. You get lots of data, and something we have experienced in the COVID, there's been huge, enormous amount of data that came through from all different industries, all different countries all over the world, whether it may be a vaccine efficacy, which vaccine is better, whether it's a new variant, so which variant is more prevalent, or whether it's infection rates and all those sorts of things. So there is enormous amount of data in there. So the ability to have that logical thinking to analyze that data is a big one. So we could have the experimental results resolved and the data analyzed for sound reasoning and judgment. Now, no matter what, whether we are microbiology students or any other students, statistics plays a big role. So mathematical skills is another one that we need to remind ourselves on, that it's not just a thing for non-microbiology people, and I'm not sure in other fields, but mathematical skills are the really important skills everyone should have, so that we can actually have a good understanding on a broad scale again, including like calculus and statistics, because all of this data analysis, and even though now there are softwares available for doing most of the stuff, including Excel and all of that, but we need to know what formulas and what analysis we are going to apply for that data analysis. So, or to represent that in terms of graphs or pie charts or tables, or doing any characterization work or anything like that, we need to have some level of mathematical skills. And this is something I have experienced. People tend to forget that maths is probably not that important, and that's the notion that goes around. And that's why I think it's important to remind ourselves that mathematical skills, and particularly in statistics and epidemiological data, if you're working with, math skills are important for microbiologists. Have I lost the, yep.
Yeah, we are not able to see the PPT, ma'am.
Right. I thought that.
Yeah, now it's visible.
Yep. All right. So the other one on my list here, and I think it's another one which we just need to be very careful about, that any research that involves substantial trial and error, and we should not be discouraged of our work that we are doing, and perseverance is something we should be always be looking at, because it's not like we are doing something and we will be successful straight away. It takes time, a lot of efforts, and it takes a lot of trial and error work. So perseverance is another one that we learn. Unfortunately, we learn it through experience and time. But if we have got that in mind, that this is what it's going to take, we will have many more successful microbiologists, I think. Problem solving skills, I have mentioned that earlier as well. So in terms of using proper scientific experiments and analysis to find solutions to complex scientific problems, this is the first step of analyzing the problems, identifying the problems, and that's where the problem solving skills comes in. Problem solving skills also comes in when you are trying to develop your interpersonal skills. So managing people or working with different people, even though you're working with like-minded people, you need to have some problem solving skills. So this is where this is going to come from. Time management skills, obviously, this is for anyone. That's a very critical and crucial part of doing microbiology, but in any industry, because industry is very research oriented, but it's also result oriented as well. So if we are not able to meet the deadlines when we are doing our research and laboratory tests, then obviously it's not going to work. So time management skills, the one who is able to manage time and prioritize the tasks efficiently while still maintaining the quality of the work is something who's going to be, I think, useful and successful in the industry environment. So yeah, basically it's just a little Bunsen burner and a microscope in there. And that's a microbiologist trying to culture something in there. And that's what it takes in the microbiology environment for any microbiologists, just to have those lab partners. So what we need to do is identify and focus on those ones. And that's what actually makes us what we are. So not too many, but I thought I'll just give it a little bit of time and just share some of the things in case you guys have got any questions or anything that you would like to know. But this is what being my experience in the field of microbiology, I guess, and this is what I have learned over the years.
Thank you so much, ma'am. So it was an interesting session and an informative as well, because I think these are the basic things which we need to know as a student, as a scientist. And finally, you have taken us to a tour which was very important, and which is very important in building the skills related to time management skill, related to problem solving skills, statistical analysis, which we used to ignore because we were weak in maths and all, and how important these skills are for going for a very smooth and a type of very important data-based research. So thank you, ma'am. It was a very awesome session, a wow session, I must say. And now I would like to request everyone who have any query regarding the lecture, regarding microbiology, anyone who want to just interact with ma'am. We would love to hear you.
Hello, can I ask one thing?
Yes, sir.
Sure.
Yes, sir, please.
You know, they are saying by 2050, many people will have problems because there are no new antibiotics. And we have to strive and work very hard to get antibiotics.
Yep.
Is it right? Is the thing right?
That's yes, actually, you raised a really good point. Antimicrobial resistance, which we call AMR, is actually becoming a new norm now.
Yes.
So far, it used to be like, we want antibiotics. And as you know, antibiotics are overly prescribed, not just in human health, even in animal health. Like in Australia, we have seen, particularly in piggeries or in cattle industry, antibiotics are overprescribed. So obviously, well, for India, probably it's not a major issue, because in India, the meat consumption compared to the world is significantly less. But in outside of India, where meat consumption actually contributes to majority, that is the indirect way of antibiotic consumption through the food system, through the food channel or the food areas as well. So antibiotic AMR, antibiotic resistance, is actually becoming a big problem. It's been highlighted at various different levels as well. There are a few different approaches the industry and governments are trying to look at. And you're quite right. And this is in a way, it's a shame that we know what it likes. Particularly in India, the tuberculosis is a big one. Everyone keeps on talking, and we know there is a first level of drugs that are prescribed. Over a period of time, we know there is a resistance being developed, and then there is a second level of drugs, alternative drugs that are prescribed, and even they fail sometimes. And then there is a rebound, and the resistance keeps on building up. So it's the accumulation of the antibiotics as well in the system that also causes problems. So yeah, it's unfortunate, but it's true. Antibiotic resistance is becoming a big thing.
Yes. Now, the pharma companies, they do not invest money to make new antibiotics.
No.
So I think there should be some sort of enforcement by the governments of all the countries to the pharma companies, and also the research scientists. They should work very hard and get new chemical drugs and antibiotics from microbes. One more thing is, there are many biosurfactants. You know biosurfactants? Many biosurfactants are having antimicrobial activity.
Yes.
So the biosurfactants also should be explored for use as antibiotics.
That's right. That's right. I think with a lot of, and because I have been with the government for throughout my career, to be honest, they're looking at having a strategy in place. So like, what could be used as a first line of defense? And then if that fails, what are the alternatives and what complements with what drug? So that chemistry or biochemistry is another way of looking into, as you said, and I perfectly agree with you, because it's not just the chemical options that could be explored, but there are a lot of other avenues that could be explored to actually to deal with antimicrobial resistance.
So let us hope that we have enough antibiotics which are effective against pathogens, and many human lives are saved by the year 2050.
True. I agree.
Yes.
Let's hope that.
Thanks. Thank you very much.
So do we have any more queries? You can also write your queries in the chat box. So I think there are no more queries, ma'am, because your lecture was so informative, and I was just looking at the basic guidelines that are like needed in the daily life to proceed towards a very good research framework. And thank you, everyone. And before moving to the end, I would like to request our President MBSI, Professor Deshmukh, to express his views.
I just wanted to know, out of curiosity. Hello, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am. Sure. Yes.
I'm so sorry. I guess I am interrupting in between. I guess there are certain technical glitches.
You're not interrupting.
Please
ask your question.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm Dr. Sugandha this side from Bhopal city, which is capital of MP state, India. So at the outset, I wish to thanks, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am, for a wonderful discourse that was very inspiring. So apart from the subject, just out of curiosity, I wish to know that what does it takes from a person of science who is PhD from India to make up to that level so as to design a good research framework in a reputed organization, in a very fabled institution, maybe in US or any other state abroad, for a postdoc or some visiting faculty. What does it actually takes? If you can throw some light on that.
Sure, Dr. Singh, and thanks for asking me that question. You said you're from Bhopal, and as I know, Bhopal is a big city in Madhya Pradesh. Everyone knows Bhopal, not because of the gas incident that happened in 80s, but for a lot of other things. Bhopal is a very famous one. The place I'm from, it's actually a very small town in India, and I'm sure probably a lot of you wouldn't have even heard about it. I'm from a place called Jalna. It's near Aurangabad. Aurangabad people have heard. So anyone who asks me where I'm from, I say, well, I'm from India, but and the closest I could tell everyone is it's a place near Mumbai, because everyone knows Mumbai, right? So I'm from a place called Jalna. It's a small town. That's where I did my bachelor's degree. When I was a student doing microbiology, all I knew was I like microbiology, and not just I like microbiology, I love microbiology. This is my passion. What I wanted to do back then, I wanted to work in a pathology lab in Jalna, because obviously I had never seen anything out of Jalna. Even now, I haven't seen much of India, to be honest, but I'm exploring. So again, my suggestion, or my thing is, if I can do it, anyone can do it. If I could do it, from a small place in Jalna. If I could do it, anyone, and I'm sure there are a lot of bright talent in India. I got the opportunities, and I think that's one thing that I always did, that whenever there was an opportunity, I never said no to that opportunity, because I don't know if I miss it when I'm going to get the next one. So if you get an opportunity, just grab it like anything, and try to do your best. And that's all I did, I guess. And that's how it wasn't an easy journey, to be honest. There were lots of I wouldn't call that discrimination in a way, because now I'm in Australia for last 15 years and I'm working in this industry in here. People ask me if I have faced any racial discrimination, and I wouldn't say no, but I wouldn't say yes, because there is a racial discrimination, there is a gender discrimination. If you are a woman in science world, you're like, oh, what is she gonna do that I can't do? Or why is she getting more opportunities than me? Anyone could say that. So just don't worry about it. Just be focused. I think that's my, that's my advice to everyone. And I think if I can do it, anyone could do it. This is what I'll say to everyone.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That's real inspiration. Thank you.
So any more queries? So we finish up with a question answers round, and thank you so much, ma'am. It was awesome listening to you, and you are an inspiration, and we'll be meeting in person soon. So we would like to meet you in person soon. And thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you. And thank you everyone for joining again. And we'll be continuing this series, and we'll be inviting ma'am again for this series. So we generally go for Sunday talkies, Indians talking from abroad. So ma'am, soon we'll meet again, and I extend a warm thank you to everyone, and especially to our guest today, Dr. Kalpana Agnihotri. And thank you everyone. Take care, keep growing and keep glowing. Thank you so much. Thank you everyone.
Thank you. See ya.
See ya, ma'am.